Everyone, welcome to the garden this morning. It is a beautiful Monday morning. It's about 80 degrees out here, absolutely perfect. And it is so much fun to be in the chat early. You guys are just amazing. I love how all the advice is flying back and forth, all the jokes. And I know there's a lot of people out there who want us to get chickens. So Camera Guy is actually in the chat today. So we might have to throw in a few little nuggets of wisdom about chickens today. And maybe we can talk him into it. What do you guys think? So we are coming off an absolutely amazing weekend. I cannot tell you how incredibly touched Camera Guy and I are. Sorry, I'm gonna cry here, guys. Didn't expect this. At the amazing response to our book announcement on Saturday. It was just incredible. I can't believe it. We just had such a blast sharing it with you guys, and the comments on the YouTube video, all the comments on Instagram, all the comments on Facebook, and the shares. Guys, I just couldn't believe it. I was literally trying to get to every comment, and I know I missed people. I am so sorry, but we so appreciate the overwhelming response, the love that you guys showed us. The people that shared with us their changed lives, we honestly did not expect it. I mean, we know our videos affect people and really change people's health, but to hear the stories that you guys have sent us, oh my gosh, absolutely incredible. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And the pre-sales, they came flying into my inbox, guys, and I really appreciate that. I want to share with you a super exciting statistic that I received this morning from my publisher, that we actually, the book actually made the #1 bestsellers list on Amazon in several different gardening categories: vegetable gardening, gardening and horticulture, and a couple others. So that was as of about 8 a.m. our time this morning. It's since gone down to #3, but I think we can get it back up again to #1 if you guys just keep on sharing with your friends, keep on sharing the gardening love, and keep on pre-ordering if you haven't already. So in case you missed it, the book will be released on December the 10th. And we're so excited to share it with you. It's going to be an 8.5 by 11 size, 250 full color photographs from Camera Guy and our daughter Jules. And it's all about how to grow an organic vegetable garden for everyone, made easy all the way from seed to harvest and all the steps in between. So you guys are going to love it. Lots of step-by-step photos and directions, and it's just going to be it'll be an amazing Christmas gift or gift for anyone, or even just for yourself to take out in the garden. So you can order it actually on my website, CallieKimGardenandHome.com, under the my books tab. There's lots of different links on there. You can order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, in the UK, Canada, Australia. So we're so excited to share it with you guys, and super touched from the bottom of our hearts, again, for all the amazing response. So thank you guys so much. And I am going to be taking some, I also wanted to say, we had a promotion over the weekend. The first 25 pre-sales from the US would receive free seed packets, 3 free seed packets, and then Good Dirt jumped in and is going to include a free bag of Good Dirt. And my inbox was flooded with emails, and I'm still wading through all of them. I know you guys are anxious to find out if you're one of those first 25, and I will definitely be wading through them, but it's going to take me a couple of days because the response was so overwhelming. If you emailed me and did not include your contact information, I got a lot of emails without addresses. So please email me again and let me know your address so that we can filter through those, see who was first, and get your seeds out to you. But please be patient with me. It's going to take me a little bit of time. So anyway, guys, I'm sorry for the long introduction. I want to see who's here today. And I know we have people from all over the world: South Africa, and all over the US. I can't remember. There's people here from other countries, maybe from the UK, from Canada. So shout out if you haven't yet. Tell me where you're from. Bart from San Antonio, Texas, thank you for joining us. Dean, I think Dean said it was his first time on today. So welcome to our live stream. We're so happy that you're here. We live stream every Mondays at noon Pacific time. Charles, hi from Arizona. And let's see who else is here. Tammy from North Carolina. Nisha, of course, from Northern California, here every week. Simone from Pittsburgh. California Bay Area. Wow, I didn't know there's a Pittsburgh up there. Beauty Sweet from Oakland. And let's see here, Bartsville, Angela Stivers Homestead from Kentucky, Yvonne from Spring, Texas. From Sydney, we have Helen from Sydney. She says, good day. Good day to you too, Helen. I hope we can visit Australia someday. I would love to. Jack, of course, from Maryland. Lynn, first time on here live. Thank you so much and welcome. Today we're talking about, besides the book, we'll get to some book questions maybe towards the end of the live stream. We're talking about some of my favorite summer gardening tips. We're just coming into summer and my summer garden is just exploding here. And oh, I see a camera guy's telling me we have a super chat from Oceanbound. $2 from Oceanbound. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can click on that and see if there was a comment to go along with it. It's not pulling it up, but thank you so much. I really appreciate your super chat, Oceanbound, and thanks so much for joining us. We did have one on Saturday we didn't get to as well. We missed it. It was from, I think it was Diane Neary, isn't that correct? And thank you so much, Diane. We really appreciate your support. And I think I saw a question, what's a super chat? A super chat, actually, it is a little icon you can click on. I believe it's on desktop, maybe on mobile as well. It's a little dollar sign. If you'd like to show your appreciation for the content that we produce here, you can click the super chat and make a donation. So we really appreciate it. Oh, Diane, great. Thank you. I'm so sorry we missed it. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, so we're talking about our summer gardens here. And just coming into summer, Jeff, oh my gosh, Jeff just did a super chat of $5. Jeff, thank you so much. He's down in Joshua Tree, California in the desert, super hot down there, but he just opened a new Instagram account. So you guys want to check out his Instagram, show him some love. He's a faithful follower of ours. He's doing some really unique things with his garden on roller carts. And Jeff, if you could post your Instagram here in the chat, that would be awesome. And I want everyone to go over and follow him on Instagram. He's posting a lot of really cool stuff. So anyway, guys, summer gardens, our summer garden is starting to explode. The weather is finally getting perfect for summer gardening in the 80s. We have sunshine today. And as you can see behind me, we have a, I think it's an 8-gallon long Smart Pots raised bed, just starting to grow, and the tomatoes are filling in. The basil is looking beautiful right here. And the pepper garden in the purple pot right behind me, I come out here every day and look at it probably several times a day because it's so gorgeous. And I'm sure a lot of your gardens are exploding too. So I wanted to share with you a couple of summer tips, because as the summer heats up, and maybe those of you in super hot areas can relate to this, once it gets over 85 or 90 degrees, the plants just don't do quite as well. The tomatoes and the peppers, even the cucumbers, the blossoms tend to drop off. Excuse me, and they don't produce as much. So we want to keep our gardens producing as much as we can in the summer heat. And the first tip that I have found absolutely invaluable, I just can't go without it in the summer anymore, is some type of shade cloth. I love this kind here. You can get this on Amazon and the link will be in the video description. But this one's really cool because you can see through it, which means that the sun will get through. It's a 40% block. So some sunlight will still get through, but super handy to cover your plants with. You can drape it over your tomato cages, put a couple stakes in your garden beds, and it will help. Oh my gosh, another super chat. Let me finish that thought here in just a moment. Let's see who super chatted. Dean, oh my gosh, Dean, first time viewer here. Thank you so much. That's so generous of you. I really appreciate it. And I hope you come back and enjoy the garden community time after time. Lots of us are here every single week. So you're welcome here every week as well. We'd love to hear more about your garden. So the shade cloth that you can drape over your plants when it gets over 85 degrees will still let some of the sunlight get through. So your plants will still grow. They may not be quite as productive as they would be. The temperatures are a little bit lower, but it'll really help keep them from frying in the heat, from just dying in the heat. And it has been an invaluable tool in my garden. Now, if you don't want to purchase shade cloth, don't want to spend the money on it, you could also use several different things. You could use like old sheer curtains. You can look at thrift stores. They're very in abundance at thrift stores, so that still lets a little bit of the sun through. The other thing you can do is use like old sheets that will completely block out the sun, but at least if you're having a heat wave, It's better to block the sun out than to have dead plants. So once the temperature cools down, you want to take off your shade cloth, of course, so that your plants can get the sun they need and be productive and have lots of tomatoes, cucumbers, and all those yummy, yummy vegetables. So let me hear if you guys are using shade cloth or if there's any other things that you like to use besides sheets and curtains and actual shade cloth to help shade your garden from the hot, hot sun when it gets over 85 degrees. Do we have another super chat? Oh my gosh, I am so floored here, guys. This is from Bethly, sorry. And she says, "You are amazing. Your passion for gardening is admirable and amazing. I appreciate everything you do for your audience and family. Keep doing what you're doing, even when it gets tough." Wow, Bethly, that is just amazing. I appreciate that encouragement because things do get tough sometimes. We all go through trials and tribulations. Things aren't always easy in the garden. And as I shared on Saturday, it wasn't always easy writing the book, but with lots of support, I was able to persevere. And I really appreciate that encouragement and the super chat. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me know here. I'm going to go into the chat and see if anyone else is using shade cloth. Jack says he needs to get some. It's getting into the 90s now. Yeah, Jack, I think you'll find it's really helpful. So look around at the thrift stores or get some on Amazon. And Tammy, hi Tammy. I use the shade cloth to cover my lettuce, chard, strawberry tower. Thanks for the idea. Okay, that's awesome. The strawberry towers are so easy because you can just drape this shade cloth. I usually just drape it right over the strawberry towers and maybe kind of clip it on the back so it doesn't blow off in the wind. But I usually just kind of leave it clipped on there and I can unfold it and fold it or cover it and uncover it as the temperature, goes up and down during the summertime. Patsella. Hi, Patsella. I use shade cloth from May till September over most of my garden in the desert. Yes, and that makes a huge difference. So you can't even just set up permanent structures, Patsella. I don't know what kind of structure you have, but you could set up like big stakes in the corners of your garden beds if you live like out in the desert like she does, and just keep that shade cloth going. And that way you can still have a garden. A lot of people think, if it's over 90 degrees, I can't grow anything. But you can, you just got to find a way to do it. Okay, here, Jack, let's see. Question, do the plants need to be completely covered or can they be, see your comment jumped around here, or can they be partially covered? I think it was. You can cover as much as you can. What I try to do is cover at the angle that the sun comes into the garden bed. So, the areas that are protected from the sun are going to be the areas that, are protected. If you have blossoms at the bottom of your plant, it's not protected, chances are that they will drop off in the heat. Okay, Patsella's husband built a PVC frame that goes over the garden. Wow, what a guy. And attaches to the shade cloth with cable ties. That's perfect. And that's a super easy, inexpensive way to do it. And that way you can take it on and off during the cooler months, but still have the structure available for a quick pop-up if you need to. So I love that. Great, great tip. Let's see if there's any other tips about shade cloth. Oh, wow, I like this. Who said lace from Goodwill? Reynolds Suburban Homestead, prepping for survival. Yeah, I don't know if someone else gave that idea or if she did, but that's an awesome idea. I never thought of that. And I'm sure, those old lace curtains are kind of going out of style. You can probably find a ton of them at Goodwill or at garage sales. Okay, Randy's saying that shade cloth has worked great. And it really helped with the blossom drop. Wonderful. And now everything's blooming and fruit. So yeah, guys, the shade cloth is such a huge help and I would highly recommend it. Okay, let's see. Oh, I forgot to read at the beginning here, so let's pop it in now. And Cliff had something that's spot on. I must have missed it, but hopefully you guys, one approach is to suspend it. Let the plant get sun in the morning and evening, but shaded during the hot part of the day. Okay, perfect. That's a great tip, Cliff, and that way it still does get some sun. Okay, back to the viewer of the week. Now, if you're new here, you might not know, but I like to read almost every week. A viewer of the week is usually a comment that really touched my heart, meant a lot to me. Maybe someone who's doing something very inspiring in their garden or has had an amazing life or health change because of growing their own vegetables. And we had so many, it was hard to pick this week because I was just kind of in tears a lot of the weekend, just really choked up reading the comments. But one here meant a lot. I'm not sure if she's here on the chat or not. But this one was in response to our big announcement about the book on the live stream Saturday. And her name is Diane Hughes. So Diane, if you're here, let us know. We have another super chat? Did I miss one? If I missed one, Christy, let me know, okay? Diane says, congratulations. I decided to start organic gardening. She was saying congratulations about the book. Oh, we do have another super chat. Let me take a pause. Ted Watson, $10. Ted, thank you so much. Camera Guy and I really appreciate you showing your support. So thanks a lot for being here. So back to Diane. She said, I decided to start organic gardening starting from seed this year and found you after I made several mistakes. I've been learning so much from your videos and you make it so easy and easy to understand. I'm learning as I go, which I love. We all start somewhere, so learning as you go is a great place to be. I couldn't keep a houseplant alive, and I just ate my own homegrown organic salad yesterday. That is just awesome. There's nothing like your first harvest. And I've been cooking with my seed-started herbs for a month now. I even started my compost. I'm loving gardening and finding so much peace in my garden. Just ordered your book on Amazon. Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate it. Can't wait to have it in my hands. Thank you for all you do and sharing your knowledge. I can't wait to continue experimenting and increasing the variety of vegetables and fruits in my garden. Guys, that is just awesome. I love stories like this. Honestly, this is what keeps us going. This keeps me motivated. It just pumps me up. It helps me want to share and see people out there gardening and growing for the first time, experimenting and eating their own fresh organic vegetables. There's nothing like saying, I grew this when you take that first bite of your organic salad. So Diane, way to go, big thumbs up, and we are all so proud of you here. So let's go back into the chat here, see if there's any more questions. Okay, we have a super chat from Asa, I think. I'm not seeing the super chat, but Asa, if that was you, thank you so much. I missed it. I'm sorry I missed it. Can you tell me what plants I should plant in 10B now, zone 10B? Okay, zone 10B is a southern zone. It's probably a little bit south of where we live here in California. You're gonna have a long growing season. And CJ, I saw you super chat. I'll get to you in just a second. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Asa? I'm sorry. But anyway, you can plant a lot of things because of your long growing season. You can get just about any vegetable started right now. If you're just starting, I would recommend starting with some quick growing vegetables like it's a little bit hot for lettuce right now, so you might want to start with some other greens like kale. Like the heat tolerant greens, the heat tolerant green seed collection would be a great one to start with. You could also start with cucumbers, squash, some smaller varieties of tomatoes. Those will all be wonderful vegetables for you to start with. So you can let me know if you have any other questions. You can always email me as well. But jump in, watch the Spring Garden series. It's always a good one to start with. Oh, you have kale. Great. So go for that. Okay, we did have another super chat fly by here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, from CJ McCann. Hi, CJ. We love and appreciate all you do. We are going to purchase your book. CJ, thank you so much. Means the world to Camera Guy and I. We really appreciate you supporting us and being on the live stream today and just following along with our garden journey. Super exciting. She says she's going to Amazon for your book. That's awesome, guys. That would be great. Okay, I'm gonna head back to my tips here today and we'll come back into the chat, take some more questions in just a second, so hang on there. Number 2 tip. Here's the time when midsummer or beginning of summer is the time when all the pests and diseases kind of start to come into your garden. I know a lot of you are experiencing that already. So tip number 2 is check your garden daily. Get out there, do your morning coffee walks or your evening not coffee walks, but maybe with another beverage of choice, and enjoy the evening hours in the garden, checking out your plants, making sure there's no problems. And then before the problems even come up, the time to start spraying with like the neem oil and the peppermint oil is before you even have problems, because prevention is always the best cure. So my favorite go-to in the garden is favorite go-to in the garden to take care of bugs when the bugs come up. Number one is just use your garden hose. When you see those bugs on your plants, spray them down, wash all the bugs off, and sometimes the soft-bodied insects will not climb back on. You might have to, do that every day for like a week or so, and sometimes that's enough to take care of it. But when it doesn't, you want to spray with, if you're an organic gardener, my favorite go-to is neem oil. You can see this neem oil bottle is well used. This is from the Rusted Garden. Rusted Gardener, sorry. Rusted Garden, I can't believe I'm saying his name wrong. Sorry, Gary. TheRustedGarden.com. And this is an organic spray that you can mix with water, spray on your plants. And then I usually mix it with peppermint oil, which masks the scent of your plant so the bugs can't find them. So I have videos on that which you can go and check out. But you do have to spray organic things like this on a regular basis. So once a week for prevention, or every 3 days or so when you do have a problem, but you definitely want to stay on top of it so it doesn't get out of control, so you can keep harvesting those yummy veggies. We have another super chat. Okay, let me check that here before we talk about watering. This is from River Rock Photos. Hi, River Rock, how you doing? My pepper plants are turning yellow. What's causing it? Lack of nitrogen or too much water? Okay, that is the question of the day. It can actually be caused by any one of those things. And I was just gonna talk about watering, so now is a perfect time. And River Rock, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate you being on here. I know you've been on here for several weeks now, and thanks for being a great part of this garden community. So watering, let's talk about that. We definitely need to make sure, along with checking our garden for pests and diseases in the summer, need to check and make sure that it's getting sufficient water. Now, you don't just want to go out and water the garden willy-nilly any old time. You want to check to see if your garden actually needs water. So that would be a great thing for you to do, River Rock. I do have a moisture meter that I use quite often. I don't have it here with me today, but I know a lot of you guys have probably seen those that you can put into your soil. It has about an 18-inch probe, and that way you can see if your soil is wet down by the roots. So that's really where it needs to be getting the most moisture. So if it's reading that it's wet, then you're not going to need to water it. So that way you can tell if it's, you're getting too much water. If it's registering that it's dry, then obviously your plants need water. Now, you can also use your finger as a moisture meter. You would just want to put it in your pot here. I don't think you guys can see that soil, but you just want to put it in your pot. See where my finger is here. You want to put it in your container or in your garden bed as far as you can. Pull up a little bit of soil here, and you can see this soil is looking pretty good, pretty moist. It's good dirt soil, so it really retains that moisture. If it's dry, obviously you need to water. So definitely during the hot times, you're going to have to water more. Maybe if you have an automatic timer system, set it to go off more often, but it's really dependent on the weather where you live, how hot it is, the type of soil you use. And yes, I see the Naked Gardener saying one of my favorite things, you definitely want to mulch to help retain the water of your garden anytime, but especially during the hot months. So that would be something to really watch out for. Okay, so tip number 1, make sure that you're using shade cloth. Tip number 2, really check for watering, and spray to help prevent pests and disease, but check your garden daily. Okay, into the chat here, let's see what questions we have. And Nisha here is asking, tomatoes aren't growing big enough. Any tips? I water 1 gallon every day for 20 and 15 gallon containers. Okay, Nisha, a couple things that tomatoes really need to grow well. In containers, you may not necessarily have to water every day. So make sure that you're checking the soil, like I just showed you, to see if they actually need the water. You might be watering them too much. The other thing they need is a lot of sun. Now, I know you're up in Northern California. I don't know how the sunlight's been there. I know here we haven't had a ton of sun yet this summer, so it could just be they need those warmer temperatures. They really thrive when the nighttime temperatures are in the 60s. They just love that temperature. And when the daytime temperatures are anywhere from, like 70 to 85. So, hang on there, be patient. Also in containers though, you do need to fertilize pretty regularly. I think you're using the worm tea, but that's a great one because it's really gentle. And you can water your containers with that once a week. So make sure that they're getting fed regularly, and then just hang on there, be patient. I know it's hard to wait, but hopefully they'll be sizing up and growing before you know it. Okay, let's see here. Diane is asking a question. Have you ever had issues with one of your hoses breaking? Is there a way to set up something to shut off water just in case the hose breaks? We set up drip with a timer. Okay, yes. And I'm assuming you're talking about the drip irrigation hoses, like the 1/2 inch tubing. Yes, in fact, I'm just in the process of checking all my drip irrigation over the past couple weeks because we're going to be going on vacation. I want to make sure everything's working. It's very easy to repair. They have the little, I wish I had them right here with me, the little compression fittings that you can get at Home Depot that you can cut where the damage is and then put one of those on to fix the hose. They do have little shutoff valves as well. So just check your local Home Depot, and if you're using the Dig irrigation system, which I've used for years, they have all kinds of little fittings that you can use to customize your system, and they're so easy to install. So check that out for more details. Okay, Irene, a question about tomatoes. Are indeterminate tomatoes bloom again after they are all harvested? It really depends, Irene, on the variety. Some indeterminate tomatoes, and if you're not familiar with that term, that just means a tomato plant that it's usually a smaller variety. I've got one right here behind me, the tiny Tim tomato. It's a dwarf variety, but usually they produce their tomatoes all at once. They're not quite as large as regular size determinate varieties. And then, oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. Okay, indeterminate. Indeterminate are the kind that grow really tall and bloom and produce over a long growing season. So yes, Irene, sorry about that. They will continue to produce after you harvest one crop. They will rebloom, and they'll usually produce as long as they're in good growing conditions until the frost gets to them, until it gets too cold. Okay, super chatted Ted Watson. I'm sorry, I thought I saw that earlier, but Ted, I'm pretty sure I said thank you, but if I didn't, thank you. We really appreciate your super chat. Thanks so much for being on here today. Okay, Vincente is asking a question about squash, not developing even when I hand pollinate. Hand pollination is not always a guarantee. It definitely does help, but just keep at it. Hopefully your squash will keep producing flowers. You may want to make sure that you're fertilizing regularly to make sure that, you know, those flowers are blooming. One fertilizer I found that's really good for helping develop flowers is the Good Dirt plant food. And I've shown you guys that in a lot of my videos, but it does have a higher level of nitrogen and another component in it, which I can't remember at this time, but it helps really produce those blooms. So you may want to check that out. There'll be a link in the video description on where you can pick that up. Okay, so back to the tips for today, guys. The third tip to your summer garden is make sure that you're planting something all season long. Now, a lot of times, some of the crops do kind of tend to kind of peter out in the heat. They get eaten by bugs or what have you. The disease gets to them. Sometimes the heat and the humidity, if you live in an area where you get a lot of rain, it really brings the disease in. So make sure that you don't stop planting. You can either start some new seeds indoors, drop some really easy to grow seeds and quick to grow seeds outside, and that way you have a harvest well into the fall. A lot of people start their spring gardens and then they harvest, and then June, July, maybe August, they have nothing left in their garden. So one thing I recommend is to plant stuff all season long. Now, a couple vegetables that are really good for this are beans, cucumbers, squash, greens, of course, like kale and chard, and then smaller varieties of tomatoes. You could still start from seed now, like the tiny Tim right behind me. It generally, in good conditions, will go from seed to harvest in about 60 days. So if you have several months left in your growing season, then you are good to go, and you can still have tomatoes into the fall, because a lot of us still have warm weather in the fall. And that way you're never without something to harvest. Now, if you're looking for seeds, I did put together a seed collection especially designed for this purpose. It's called the Late Summer Garden Seed Collection. And there's, I think, 7 varieties in here, including one flower, of vegetables that go more easily or more quickly from seed to harvest, and are really great vegetables that you can plant all season long. So if you're interested in that, you can pick these up on my website, CallieKimGardenHome.com. Okay. So I would love to hear any other vegetables that you like to plant. And I do have a video on that too, on growing a late summer garden. that tells you exactly how to do it there. So let me see here what other questions we have. The chat's flying by today. And Christy, I think, is having a hard time keeping up with it. So thank you so much. Let's see. Charles. Okay. Would your herb seed collection, whoops, stand up to the heat here in Arizona? Okay, Charles, the herb seed collection has a mixture of cool weather herbs and warm weather herbs. It has some basil, 2 varieties of basil, and some parsley, cilantro, dill, and I think there's one other warm weather herb. It's escaping my mind at the moment. But the basil is a warm weather herb, and what you'd want to do again is in Arizona, use that shade cloth. That will be invaluable to you to growing anything in the hot weather. And the cilantro, dill, and parsley will do better in the winter time. Once your weather cools off, I have a really hard time growing cilantro, dill, and parsley in the winter here, unless it's shaded, like it is back here in my purple salsa garden. It's in the shade of the pepper and the tomato plants. It's really doing very well. So, but yeah, I would definitely grow the basil in the summertime without a problem. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, the chat is great. It's wonderful to see everybody just having a great time here. 255 people watching. That's awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. And let's see, Pooja is asking a question about blossom end rot of tomatoes. Okay, Pooja, what you can do for that, there's a couple different things. When you're planting, you can add some things to your planting hole. You can add garden lime, which really helps with blossom end rot. And if you're not familiar with what that is, blossom end rot, when you look at your tomatoes, it's very common in Roma tomatoes. It kind of gets a little brown mushy part at the bottom, and sometimes it happens in squash. I think those are the main vegetables that it would be very common in. So you can add that garden lime. You can pick some up at the garden centers very inexpensively. And it basically happens because the vegetables, sometimes they aren't being watered consistently, and then they have a hard time taking the calcium up from the soil, or the soil is lacking calcium. So garden lime helps. I've actually crushed up Tums before, put those in my soil, and ground up eggshells work too, but the lime works really, really well. So let's see here. From Aim here is asking, have you ever tried planting some bitter gourds? No, I haven't. That would be a fun one to try. It'd be a really different vegetable to grow. So I'll have to look into that. So thanks for the suggestion on that one. Okay, I did have one other little bonus tip I wanted to share, and that is during the summer, enjoy it. Enjoy the rewards. I don't know if that's really a tip, but just something I want to encourage you guys to do is a lot of times we're working so hard in our gardens getting things planted that we don't take the time to slow down and enjoy it. So as you're going about your garden, harvesting your vegetables, tending to your garden, definitely slow down, enjoy it. And the rewards for me go far beyond the harvest. You want to be checking your garden often for harvesting in the summer, but that gives you a chance to really just enjoy being there. But it not only is harvesting a blessing and a wonderful reward, but also just the mental health that comes from, and the peacefulness, as Diane mentioned in her viewer of the week comment, the peacefulness that comes from being in the garden. I honestly, guys, I was out here at 5:30 this morning in my pajamas. I know camera guy will be shocked at that, but I looked out the window and I totally didn't mean to go out in my pajamas, but I came out here, I grabbed my camera, and I actually picked some vegetables. It was so quiet, and I just almost started crying because I was just so thankful for the weekend and just so thankful to be able to have the experience to start my day off in the garden. So really want to encourage you to enjoy it, and also be a part of a garden community like we have here. There's so many amazing gardeners around the world. Make friends with people here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, join a community garden, and just take the summertime to really revel in the rewards that gardening brings us. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tips today, and I want to take some more questions now in the chat. If you have any questions about the book or anything like that, please let me know. And let's see here. Can I put 2 plants, this is from Nisha, of Tiny Tim to grow in a 7-gallon Smart Pots? You know, I've only tried one in a 5-gallon, but I think a 7-gallon, a little bit bigger. I would go ahead and give it a go, Nisha, and I would love to hear how that works for you. They are pretty small plants, so, but don't let them fool you. They pack a punch with a lot of tomatoes. So Diane, what can we use to inexpensively grow zucchini up? We have set up grow bags for my nephew's family. You could use just a regular old tomato cage, Diane. Let me see if I can flip my camera around and if you guys can see right up there on the hill. Let's see, right, it might not show very well, but it's right in there somewhere. I don't think you can see it, but I have a zucchini there, and I just have a regular old tomato cage. They're usually $2 or $3, maybe $5 at the garden center, and you can just kind of guide it up that, or you can also just use a regular pole, like some kind of a stake, a pretty sturdy stake, and just as the stem grows, you can just kind of tie the stem up the stake. Now with the zucchini, the leaves as they get old will get yellow. A lot of times they get yellow or kind of dried up on the bottom, so you can prune those off, and then it'll develop like a tall stem, which you can just tie onto the stake as it grows. Okay, see here, any questions? Questions for Ma Queen from Reese. Oh, Reese, you're so sweet. How do you get rid of carrot root fly? You know what? I have never had a problem with that. So if anyone has had that issue, please let Reese know. Give Reese some help in the chat here. I have not had to deal with that, so I couldn't speak to that one. Okay, Lushland Farms. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Everything looks so green. I'm telling you guys, it's a beautiful day out here. Thank you so much, Lushland. The colors are just popping. It's crazy. Things are just absolutely coming alive. The weather's perfect. We're enjoying it while it's in the 80s. Unfortunately, I'm sure it will be hot after a while. Okay. Camera guy saying, RH, quite a compliment. So thank you. I missed that. I'm sorry. Question, I notice holes in my eggplant leaves. What do you think is happening? From Kirian. Eggplant is prone to something called a flea beetle. It's a tiny little pest that somehow is attracted to eggplant. So that could be what's going on. Keep an eye on it, see what's happening, and then try, you know, my favorite little DIY issues there for pests. Spray with water. Do that in the early morning before the heat of the day. Or make yourself a neem oil, peppermint oil concoction. Check the videos that I have on that, and hopefully you can get rid of it. Or a grasshopper. Yeah, it could be a grasshopper. It's hard to tell sometimes. You're welcome. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions. Anastasia, I have a ton of ants in the garden. Are they good or bad? You know, there's so many different varieties of ants out there. There's some that will eat your plants. Usually ants and aphids go hand in hand. So I try not to keep the ants around when I see a big problem. You can get rid of them with a little DIY ant trap, and I do have a video on that, I believe. You can mix a little paste with borax and put a little sugar in there, and usually I usually will put it like in a little aluminum foil, like tray or something like that. I'll just make a little tray out of aluminum foil, stick them in the garden. The ants will be attracted to that, and then you can just toss that in the trash. So it really just depends on the type of ants, but I don't usually like to keep them around. Okay, yeah, Kieran, a bit of both good and bad. Yes, for sure. Usually don't have to worry about them too much unless you have a really big infestation. Okay, from Amy French, question. If my tomatoes have powdery mildew on most of the plant, a 3-foot tall plant, should I consider them a lost cause and pull them out in 10B and haven't had much sun? Yeah, Amy, that's a bummer. We've actually had more of a problem this year with powdery mildew than we ever have because of the humidity, and you might have had that too. We've had a lot of rain. I know we don't get as humid as the East Coast, but we do still have humidity. I haven't had problems on my big tomatoes, but you know what you might want to do, just make sure that you prune off a lot of the existing leaves that have the problem, and you can try the milk water spray. Check my YouTube channel for that video. And if that doesn't help, if it's really bad and near other plants that might get infected, then you may want to go ahead and pull it out and then just get some new seeds started. Or at this point in the season, you might want to pick up a couple transplants from the garden center. You guys don't have to feel bad about that. You know, I grow transplants too. I can't possibly grow everything from seed. I grow 90% from seed, but I did pick up some watermelon transplants. So don't feel guilty about it. It's just, you know, you're still growing your own food, so it doesn't really matter that much. So guys, we are going to take maybe 1 or 2 questions and then we'll sign off for the day. And I see Camera Guy in the chat. We had an amazing weekend with our new book launch. It was just so exciting. I was so thrilled and excited to finally be able to share it with you. We've been working on it for almost a year. So it was really hard to keep it under our hats. Believe me, there were so many times I wanted to tell you, but we just couldn't. So the timing is right. And we were just overwhelmed by the response. And I really can't wait for you guys to read it. I mean, this is really a from my heart kind of book. It has more than just information in it. It really has some personal stories, even stories of viewers, family members, and things that really had touched my heart that I put in the book as well. And I saw a question. Yeah, Camera Guy saying we thought we'd accidentally slip. Yeah, it was a really emotional live stream and emotional reading the wonderful comments afterwards. And you can get the book. You can pre-order it now. It's going to be released and published December the 10th, just in time for Christmas. You can pre-order it on our website, Callie Kim Garden and Home, on the My Books tab. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and websites that you can purchase in the UK, Canada, Australia, all over the world. It's going to be available. So we're really excited to share it with you. It was a real family project. And help us get back up to #1 on the Amazon vegetable gardening bestseller list. If you could pre-order it, that would be awesome. And I know you will really enjoy it and reap the rewards of gardening. Okay, oh good, Cliff, I'm glad you were surprised. We really had fun surprising you. So let's take maybe 1 or 2 more questions. We'll sign off for today. And Charles is wanting to start a community garden. Charles, that's awesome. You know, I don't know how to do that. You may want to do a little research on that. See if there's already one started there. Maybe you can jump in on someone else's project, but that's great, Charles. I love that. We do have a friend that we did a video with here in California on a community garden. And why don't you email me and then I can get you maybe her email address and she might be able to give you a few little pointers and direct you on where to go. Okay, let's see. One more question from Koki. Mimi, hi Koki. I don't know if I've seen you on here before. Welcome. I have watermelon plant that is not produced yet. What fertilizer needs to produce? Watermelon loves the warm weather, so it could be it's just not quite, warm enough, or maybe you just planted it not too long ago, but it does grow really fast. So hang in there and be patient. But everything in my garden, I use kind of the same method for pretty much everything. I prepare my soil really well with compost, worm castings, and then I use the Good Dirt soil conditioner, or also just some Good Dirt plant food and the Vermistera worm castings. And it's really a winning combination. I've grown my garden like that for about 3 years now. So I would highly recommend, excuse me, check the links in the video description where you can get all that. But it probably just needs a little dose of organic fertilizer to kick it off, and you'll be having watermelon in no time. No, actually, Mac is here. He's been kind of wandering in and out. Come here, Mac. Rolling in the grass and having a good old time. He's just not in front of the camera at the moment, but let's see if we can get him to come over here and say hello. Chasing the bees and the flies. Mac. Well, I don't know if he's going to cooperate, but anyway, guys. Oh, there he is. He just sat down. Mac, you want to say hi? Here he is. Everyone say hi to Mac. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We will have another video coming out later in the week, and on the weekend, we'll be live streaming here again next Monday at noon Pacific time, so make sure you join us. And again, we so appreciate all the pre-orders, the support, the love, the beautiful comments that we received at the announcement of my new book. So thanks a lot, guys, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.